Hello people, I'm the Comic Book Gamer, and today I'm going to be talking about the whole Douglas Ernst versus Comicstorian situation that's been going on. This is what I gotta deal with. Hello people, I'm the Comic Book Gamer, and today I'm going to be talking about the whole Comicstorian versus Douglas Ernst situation that's going on right now. So, first off, it's 2:30 in the morning right now, so that's why I sound quieter than normal, because people are sleeping and I don't want to wake them up. Anyways, if you don't know what's going on, Comicstorian and Douglas Ernst have been having a bit of a back and forth on Twitter, and Douglas Ernst made a video on it, a bunch of other people made videos on the situation, and they've been having a back and forth talking about Comicstorian not calling out the cancer basically that's in comics right now, and Douglas Ernst being like, why are you just so passive about this and not calling them out, and Comicstorian being like, this just needs to be a whole place where we just have fun, we don't talk about the bad and act like the bad doesn't exist, and we just shut up and enjoy comics. So first off, my opinion on the two guys, I'm not even gonna lie, I have a bias here because I don't know Comicstorian at all as, like, you know, a person. Like, I like his channel, I think he's a cool guy, but I don't know him at all. I've never talked to him. Douglas Ernst I've talked to multiple times, I've DM'd him, he's pretty cool, so I do have a bias there. I'm not gonna lie about that or anything, so in this situation, I'm not 100% even. I do have a bias. I've talked to Douglas Ernst before, he's really cool, but I like both of them. Comicstorian, I'm more like listening to him on live streams and podcasts and stuff like that, because the type of content he makes isn't really to my liking, because I'm not the biggest fan of just like, here's what happens in the story. I'm more of a fan of opinion pieces, like stuff like Comic Pop, where they like, this is what happened, here's my thoughts on it, this stuff's cool, this stuff's bad, stuff like that. I like opinion pieces more than I like just straight up, this is what happened. So when he talks about stuff, like if he likes it or not, that's when I'm interested. Like, I like listening to him on the weekly poll, but his actual videos and stuff, I'm fine. Like, they're good, they're well-made videos, they're just not for my taste. And then Douglas Ernst, I really like his videos because they're all opinion pieces and stuff like that, and I really enjoy his videos anyways. So my thoughts on this whole thing: I've made a video in the past talking about sort of stuff similar to this, saying that I'm not a big fan of just having a monster behind your back and acting like it's not there, which is what Comicstorian's doing, because there is clearly this sort of SJW cancer in Marvel Comics that's infecting it. And he's just like, nah, we just need to ignore that. Act like the monster isn't right behind you. Just eat the piece of cake in front of you. Just enjoy that cake, but don't look behind you, because you won't like it, and we're not allowed to talk about the bad things. I've never been a fan of that mindset of just being like, do not criticize anything. Just enjoy the good stuff. Don't criticize the bad, because I used to get flack all the time for talking about bad things in good, like, comic book movies or good comics. People would get really mad at me because I wouldn't act like it was 100% all good. There are movies that I absolutely love, but I'll point out things I'm like, that's stupid, I didn't like that. Overall, I love the movie, but this stuff I didn't like, and people be like, you absolutely hate the movie, why would you say that? And I'm like, no, I'm just pointing out things I don't like, and that's what I've always done. I think if you absolutely love something, you criticize it and scrutinize it even more than you would something that you don't care about. For instance, the last Star Trek movie, I don't remember the name of it, like Star Trek Beyond, I'm not a Star Trek fan at all, but so watching that, it was a good movie and I enjoyed it, and I didn't really have many problems with it because I wasn't like holding it under a microscope or scrutinizing it that much, because I just don't care about Star Trek. But something like Logan, which is a movie that I criticized way more than that Star Trek movie, but I actually enjoyed more than Star Trek, and people would think I absolutely hated Logan because of all the problems I had with it, when in actuality I like the movie. It's just, it's something that I absolutely love, so I criticize a lot more, and that's just what happens. I feel like at least that's the type of person I am. If I love something, I criticize it even more than stuff that I don't really care about. That's just how I am, and that's how I am with comics as well. So when I see something like these SJWs that are just... So when I see these SJWs just trying to destroy comics and trying to spread their ideologues and their beliefs and be like, you must think like us, you must brainwash us, like stuff with the current John Malin thing, where he's talking about how at Marvel, if you voted for Trump, they'll remember you. You're on like a hit list if you voted for Trump, if you're a Trump supporter, which is just absolutely awful.
There's an editor, and they had written that if you voted for Trump, we will know who you are. Like, that's almost their exact words. Well, so don't tell me that there isn't an agenda going against people that have more conservative views. Well, it's ridiculous.
Like I've talked about before, they're into diversity, just not diversity of opinion. If you look different, that's cool, but if you think different, nope, that's not cool with Marvel. And for Comicstorian to have the name Comicstorian and then just ignore all that stuff, nah, I don't get that. That doesn't make any sense to me. So, of course, I'm more on the side of Douglas Ernst here, being like, I don't think every single video you have to be like calling out Marvel, but I feel like you should talk about it. I feel like you should do a video talking about, hey, there's clearly a problem here. Let's talk about that. Let's discuss that. Instead of just being like, nah, I'm just gonna act all happy-go-lucky, because I don't want to have any negativity on my channel at all. I understand not wanting to have negativity, but there's a difference between just being overly negative about everything and then just making one video being like, hey, there's clearly a problem here, we need to discuss it, we need to make it known. But I think a couple of the reasons Comicstorian doesn't want to do that is, one, he doesn't want to ruin any future brand deals or anything he might have with Marvel or something like that, because right now he is pretty cozy with like everyone. He is, you know, Switzerland, he is in the middle. There's no reason they'd be like, oh, Comicstorian said this, we don't want to do anything with him. Like, so I feel like that's one of the reasons. I also feel like he doesn't want to piss off any of his fans. He doesn't want a massive amount of people to just unsubscribe. Although I don't feel like he'd gain more than he'd lose if he talked about it, but there would be some people that would be really mad about it. So I feel like he's happy where he's at. He feels like he doesn't need to address it, which, to be fair, he doesn't need to in terms of his channel. Like, his channel's not going to suffer because he's not going to talk about this. I just feel like the more sort of right thing to do would be to address it, especially considering he is like the #1 comic book YouTuber. So if he'd said something that would really get the ball going, you even have people in the industry like Ethan Van Sciver and John Malin talking about how toxic it is. Like, Comicstorian isn't even in the industry. Like, if these guys that actually work for these companies can talk about it, I think you can talk about it and be okay. I feel like it's just the wrong mindset to just feel like you can't criticize something just because, oh, that's overly negative or that's too toxic. No, there's a right and wrong way to go about things. If you're just like, oh, all this sucks and screw it, then I can understand, yeah, that's not the correct way to go about it too. But to address it and talk about why it's bad and why we need to expunge it and cleanse comics from it, I think that's something different. So yeah, I just want to talk about this real quick. I had no problems with Comicstorian at all as like a person or anything like that. I just don't get this mindset of don't talk about anything bad. That's forbidden. Only talk about what you like. Act like everything's good. It feels kind of like a sort of dictatorship mentality, like people are under a dictatorship. Like, no, you can't talk about the bad stuff, only the good. You can't talk about how there's famine and how they're dragging people out of their homes. You can only talk about how there's free healthcare. I feel like that's sort of how it is. It's sort of like, you can only talk about the good, none of the bad. I don't get that mindset or that mentality at all. It makes no sense. But anyways, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please let me know in the comments below what are your thoughts on this whole situation, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah. On my grind all day, gonna make $1 million selling that someday. You know I'm in the building when I write this way. Put me in the pound when I bite this game, Bitch, I'm an animal, eating these rappers, I swear I'm a cannibal.